Hello everyone, Reza here. In this video, we will learn how to sort and filter on multiple columns of a SharePoint list in Power Apps. This by respecting delegation so we can handle large data when sorting and filtering. The concept can be applied to other data sources as well. So let's begin with the video. Let's begin with sorting our gallery data. Here, I have a gallery that is connected to a SharePoint list. A list that has different types of columns: text, choice, date, person. To sort the data in this gallery by the ID column, the items property of the gallery, I will use the PowerFX function sort my data source. In this case, my connected data source is my SharePoint list. Sort my work tracker list. If I put a comma, I can pick the columns to sort on. I'll pick my ID column. This will sort the data in the list in ascending order based on the ID column. There is a third property associated with the sort function that's optional, and that is the direction of the sort. By default, it's ascending. Let's pick descending. Now, the data in the gallery is sorted based on the ID in descending order. Now, if we explore the sort function, the syntax is sort your data source, expression, and then optionally, we can pick the order. Now, what's this expression? Sort my data source. This time, I'll sort on the due date column. Here, you can also write expressions. However, these will not be delegable, meaning it won't work for large data sets that span beyond the delegable limit set for your application, the maximum limit being 2000. So you have to be mindful of that. In scenarios where your data set is not large, here you can write PowerFX formulas. For example, date difference between today's date and the due date. Let me add the sort for descending, and here is the results. Notice the delegation warning. Let's try sorting on the priority column, which in my case is a choice column. So priority dot value. Observe that this is a non-delegable query. If we explore the documentation specifically to delegation with SharePoint, the only columns that we can sort on that are delegable are number, that's the ID column, text, the title column in my case, Boolean, and date time. That's my due date column. We cannot perform a delegable sort on complex type columns like choice, lookup, person, and more. That's a limitation. Apart from sort, there is also a sort by columns formula. So what's the difference? With sort by columns, I can sort on multiple columns, sort based on due date in descending order. Two items here where the sort date is 30th of November. Now the second sort I want to perform on the title in ascending order, comma, title, sort direction dot ascending. The two items for 30th November, the second sort is on the title column. With sort by columns, you cannot type in expressions, you simply pick columns. You cannot pick columns that are of type complex. Now let's provide our end users with the option to sort on multiple columns, and that too dynamically, where the user can click on a specific column to sort either in ascending or descending order. Let's first start with ID. Here I have my gallery control, and I have a container in which I have placed text controls. These are simply labels. I am using the modern controls and themes. The label for ID I will remove, and in this header container I'll go and insert the modern button control. For the button, the text property, I'll call it ID. I can set an icon for the button. One of the icons is arrow sort. Now when the user clicks on this button, I want to perform the sort. So for the buttons, on select property, my goal is to store two pieces of information: the direction of the sort and the name of the column that I am going to be performing the sort on. I'll set a variable called var sort by. I will set it to the name of my column, which is ID, and another variable, I'll call it var sort direction. This will be a Boolean variable. I'll set its value to not of var sort direction. If this variable is false, you set it to true. If it is true, you set it to false. The items property of my gallery will be as follows: switch on var sort by, that's my column name. If the name is ID, in that case, you sort my SharePoint list based on the ID column in ascending or descending order based on that variable. So I'll check to see if my variable var sort direction is set or not. If it is true, then I'll sort it in ascending order, else I will sort it in descending order. Close the if function, close the sort function, close the switch function, format text. This is what my formula looks like. Nothing is being shown because none of the variables are set yet. But if I click, now it is sorting. That variable is set to true. The column is ID, so it's sorting on ID in ascending. If I click, now it is sorting on ID in descending. However, there is no visual indicator to the user of the sort direction. Let's do that by updating the icon property of this button. The icon property I'll set as follows: if var sort by is ID, then you check the sort direction. So if var sort direction, if it's true, that means it's sorting in ascending. So I'll use the icon arrow up. If not, so arrow down. I'll close the if. And if that variable var sort by is not ID, in that case, you show arrow sort. Let's preview. Descending, ascending. The user is getting a clear indicator of the sort direction for the data in this gallery. Now this worked for ID. I would want to replicate this for title. Now for the properties that I set for this ID button, I hard-coded the text ID. So if I copy and paste this to reuse this for other columns, I would have to change this formula every time. Now instead of hard-coding to ID, why not just point to the text of this button, which is ID? I could change this to self.text The onSelect property of the button where sort by will be self dot text. The title label I'll delete. The ID button I'll copy, Control C, paste, Control V, place it right here. This button, the text will be title. For my gallery, here I have the switch function. Why not directly use where sort by here and make it dynamic? There is a reason why not to do that. Let me show you. If I try it as follows, sort based on that variable, this becomes non-delegable. So sort needs the direct reference to the column. It cannot be dynamic through a variable. The same is true for sort direction. So back to my switch function. I copied the same information from the top because the pattern is going to be similar. This time, the title column, text title, column selection title. That's my formula for items. Let's preview. Click. Title sorted in ascending. Title sorted in descending. Now, the sort is on the ID column. Let's try the same for due date. Pattern similar. Copy the button, paste, text, due date, gallery, items property, due date, the column, I'll select due date. Done. Preview. Now I can sort on date, title, and ID. When a user launches the app the first time, at that point, we need to have the values set where sort by and where sort direction. For the app's onStart function, I'll set the two variables, where sort by, due date, the sort direction, false, so it would be descending. So observe, if I right click on the app object and run onStart, this is the experience of what the user will get when they first run the app. By default, it will sort on due date. The user is free to change the sort on any of the columns that are sortable. The icon right next to the column name is an indicator that I can sort the column. The other three columns, they are complex type columns in my data source. I can sort on them, but it will not work for large data due to delegation. Next, let's add an option for end users to filter on multiple columns. Sorting and filtering working together. I'll insert a container. This would be the section where I'll add my filters. The fill property for this container, I'll set as app.theme.colors.primary. I'm using modern controls and themes. So if I head over to themes, observe, as I change the theme of my app, the modern controls accordingly change their colors. Now in this container, I'll go and insert the text control. The text property I'll set as title. In the container, I'll insert a text input control. This is where the user can type the text for the title, and I will filter the data in my gallery based on the title column. When filtering, text columns are delegable. These are the delegable formulas for SharePoint. Search is not a delegable query with SharePoint, but starts with is a delegable formula. This text control, I'll rename to txt title, and my gallery, items property where I have my SharePoint list called, I will do so under a filter function. Filter my list. I'll use the delegable query starts with. The title column starts with the text value entered in that text box. Format text. This formula, I've applied it to the ID column sort logic. I would have to repeat the same for title and for due date. Yes, the formula is long, but the formula is completely delegable. Let's try it out. I'll search for REV. Nothing happened. Well, that's because I have to click out in order for the filter to be performed. And remember, starts with. So the text in the title text column starts with REV. These are the results that it returned. I'll clear this, click out, then filters the gallery. Why do I have to click out? Well, because the text input control has a behavior property called trigger output. Notice it's focus out. You can change this to different options. I'll recommend to use delayed. So let's check it out. I'll type final and wait. It applies the search query. I'll clear. Done. Now when this filter text box is empty, I would suggest for the placeholder text, this is where you can give some hints to the user about what this control does. I'll say the text to search at the beginning of title. To give the user an easy option to clear the search text, I'll insert the modern button, position it right next to the input text. The layout of this button, icon only. The icon, I'll search for reset and select arrow reset. On select of this, I will use the reset function to reset that text input. Control. Click, resets it, done. Now when an actual filter is applied on the title column, I would like to give an indicator next to the title button in the header. For that, I'll simply copy this reset icon, go to my header container, paste, position this right next to title. The icon, I'll pick filter. Visible property for this icon will be the text input control dot value is not equal to an empty string. I'll search for review. Now the filter is applied. I can see the filter icon for the title column. If I click this, it will clear the filter. Now let's try and add two more filters. These for priority and status, both of which are choice columns. I'll add two text controls, priority, status. Now I'll insert two combo box controls, all modern controls. For the priority combo box, items property will be choices of my SharePoint list dot the name of my column, priority. And for the status combo box, the formula will be choices of my SharePoint list name dot the status column. Now by default, if nothing is selected, it says find items. This text is coming from the input text holder property. I'll change this to all for both the combo box controls. Let's also add the reset option. Now let's go and apply the filters to the items property of the gallery. If multiple filters are selected, they should all be applied together in an AND condition. So I'll use the AND function. My first filter starts with, I'll put a comma and add my second filter, which is priority combo box dot selected dot value. Is this equal to priority, that's the column, which is of type choice. So priority dot value, format text. Let's put a comma and add another condition. Status combo box dot selected dot value is equal to status, which is a choice column, dot value. This filter I've only applied to the ID sort logic. I need to add it for the others, but before that, let's test it out. Observe, there's no results. Well, that's because it's forcing me to pick values for both these columns. If they are blank, it's not showing any values. So I need to handle the blank logic. And for that, where that filter is being applied for the combo box, I'll add an OR condition. Combo box priority dot selected dot value is equal to blank or the filter. The same pattern I will use for status as well. Now if I try it out, observe it shows all the data to begin with. Now I can filter on priority, showing me all the high priority items. I can even filter on status. I can even filter on title. All the three filters working together. Back to gallery items property. This filter condition, I'll copy and now apply it to all the other sort formulas. Done. Show me all the high priority items that are in progress. Sort them by due date in descending order. Sort them by title in ascending order. Sorting, filtering on multiple columns, all of these working together and fully delegable. If you enjoyed this video, then do like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And thank you so much for watching.